Hey, what's happening YouTube? This is the Execution 10, and today I'm going to be doing a deck profile for the Yosenju Demise deck post August 29th ban list. This deck helped me finish in the top 4 of my last locals on Sunday. So I'm going to lay down this deck, and you guys can comment below and tell me what you think. This was a good build, I felt, for me. It really helped me start things off, so let's go right into the deck. First, 3 of Yosenju, 3. This is absolute important piece of this deck. Enables you to do your searching, to search out your other Yosenju cards. You can search out your secret move, your pendulums, or the other 2 monsters, or Sujik. This card plays such a role, you have to run it at 3. It's vital to this deck, and it lets you just get so many of your plays going. After that, 3 of Yosenju, 2. This is another important card in the deck as well. This enables direct attacks, and it can be the only monster in the field and can still do it as long as you take away half damage. Must have this in your deck. It just can, again, can steal you some late games. It can do some amazing stuff with damage, and it enables you, if you have it with 3, just to get a very easy search without even having to deal straight up damage. Just you can attack direct and do the half damage and get the search. Then 3 copies of Yosenju, 1. 1, this is the dude that bounces cards that are face up back to your opponent's hand. He's very good at disrupting little plays, and he just really is just a fun guy to spam on the board late in game. You can do it early in the game. And so these 3, 1, 2, and 3 are the main Yosenju. You got to run 3 of them each. And finally, to round out my monsters, 2 copies of Yosenju Sujik. This is the only one that does not normal summon another Yosenju from hand, but he enables Yosenjus to gain 1,000 points. You can also use him as a hand trap. When you attack, you can use him kind of like a mini Honest. So he just does so much in this deck, and I only run him at 2 because 3 is a little bit cloggy for my taste. So that's my monster build so far. So just 11 monsters round out my Yosenju Demise deck. So now we'll dive into the spell cards, and this is also pretty standard. I run 3 of Fire Formation Tenki. This is the key searcher in the deck that lets you add the Beast Warriors of Yosenjus to your hand, and of course enables them 100 extra attack points. So very important to have 3 of this card in your deck. It just lets you do so much search. It just can let you search when you need it. You can get a Yosenju to your hand, and just lets you set your plays up. Very important to have there. Next spells are 3, and this is the piece of the deck that really makes the deck, the glue that holds this deck together. 3 copies of Card of Demise. Card of Demise, for those that don't know, let you draw till you have 3 cards in your hand. You do not get to special summon on the turn you play this, and once you play this, your opponent takes no damage. But what's great with Yosenju's with this deck is at the end phase, since both Yosenju's and this card have an end phase effect, you can choose to resolve the Card of Demise effect first. So when you have no cards in your hand, before you bounce your Yosenju's back to hand, you can resolve Card of Demise first and discard whatever's in your hand, which could be 0 cards, and then your Yosenju's can come back in afterwards on the next, after resolving Card of Demise. So this card just does so much damage. It just helps you get late draws when you need it. It's such a timely card when you get to Card of Demise. It really rocks. Then I run for the 1-ofs, 1 Raigeki to blow up my opponent's back row. Either this or Dark Hole. You could run one of both. It really can run one of each. It really doesn't matter. The Raigeki, I just prefer it to destroy my opponent's board. Then 1 MST for back row destruction. I really don't run a lot of cards that destroy my opponent's back row. I'll get into the cards that really play a role in that in a moment. And then I run 1 Prohibition. This card from last week's tournament, and just since I put it in my deck, it's like an MVP of my deck. Prohibition lets you declare a card and your opponent can't use it. So almost always with my deck running so much back row, I usually automatically declare Twin Twister. This card just shuts down the Twin Twister part of the game, and either I force my opponent to use it right away, or or as soon as I play it, it can lock them out of destroying my back row, which will allow my plays to get going. So Prohibition is such a key component in this deck. You have to run at least one. I did run two for well, but two was a little bit cloggy. And my final spell, one Magic Planter. I run a lot of Floodgate traps. I'll get into those in a moment, but Magic Planter allows one to pop a continuous trap and then get extra draw power to draw two cards. So this card I run a lot. I love to run draw power in this deck because you need to have the drawing capabilities for this deck to go. And actually, I just remembered I have one more spell I forgot to throw in. Here it is: 3 copies of Pot of Duality. So sorry about the mistake with just now. That was my last card, but 3 Pot of Dualities. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You just can't special summon. But the Pot of Dualities, again, are another important engine to this deck. You need draw power, particularly with the back row this deck runs. So with Card of Demise, Pot of Duality, Magic Planter, I really like this build with these spells. It rounds out the draw power. It just lets me get into plays and get into what I need very, very fast. So now we'll go into the traps of my deck, and this is going to be the main bulk of my deck. And here we are. So 3. This is the MVP of the trap card arsenal of my deck, Drowning Mirror Force, and this card is an automatic intimidating factor against any opponent I take on, because the one thing any opponent will fear when facing a deck that revolves on back row is the Drowning Mirror Force. It makes them hesitant to attack into it, and if they do, this card is just explosive and dirty. It blows up, sends all cards back in attack mode back into your opponent's deck, all monsters. It only works though when it's a direct attack, but this card has bailed me out of so many tight jams. I just love this card. You have to run it at 3. It's just mandatory. You have to. Then I run 2 Rivalry of Warlords, and this just shuts down. It just shuts down cards that rely on multiple types of monsters. The other sister card is Goes and Match. I don't main it, but I love Rivalry just a little bit better. Last week, this card shut down. I used this in a Madolche matchup, and my opponent had 3 Xyz monsters, and as soon as I played Rivalry, he had to diminish his field to 1. This card can just do so much. This card can save you from very problematic decks. Cosmos, as soon as you play the Rivalry and they bring out, let's say, a Tin Can or a Psychic, they have to play it. They're forced to. They're forced to play one type of monster, and being that my deck is all Beast Warrior with the Yosenju monsters, and I can keep resetting the board. This card just enables so much. It's a good staller, and it just completely forces my opponent to really have to mix and maneuver his lineup. And next up, 2 Solemn Strike. This card just rocks. You don't have to pay too many life points, and you can either negate a special summon, or you can also negate a monster effect as soon as it goes off. So the Solemn Strike, I don't run 3 just because it does consume life points, and I do of course run another card that pays life points, and I'll get to that card in a moment. But this is you must remain this in pretty much in any deck you run now. Solemn Strike is just one of the best traps in the game. Then for the 1-ofs, 1 Anti-Spell Fragrance. This is the ultimate stop to pendulum monsters. Opponents can't play the scales, and it just shuts down the spells, period. You have to set them before you can play them. Then 1 Torrential Tribute, basically common, you guys know what it does. Grand Horn of Heaven, 1 Starlight Road to block Twin Twister, and I get a Stardust Dragon out of it. Chaos Trap Hole for light and dark decks, for Blue Eyes, for Burning Abyss, etc. for Cosmo. Macro Cosmos, this card rocks with banishing opponents' cards. I love banishing cards to disrupt my opponent's plays. Vanity's Emptiness for special summoning to stop that. 1 Solemn Warning, I just mentioned it with Strike, stops any card that involves special summoning. Now this is kind of a little wild card that I threw in. I just love playing this card. 1 Cashback. For those that don't know what cashback does, this works against any card, spell, trap, or monster that involves paying life points as a cost. So if my opponent tried to disrupt my Yosenju summoning with Solemn Warning or Strike, this card just bounces it right back in the deck. This can also really disrupt Cosmos, because a lot of the monster Cosmos involve paying life points, like a Sword Troopers, a Tin Can. So this will completely disrupt their play. And I just love this card. It just changes the scope of it, the landscape of the game. Now let's go into the extra deck. And mainly I run a lot of copies of various extra deck monsters. So let's go into one that I have 3 of. Probably I'm going to change it soon. I'm not planning to keep it this way, but 3 copies of Castell, the Sky Blaster Musketeer. This card plays such an important role in bouncing cards that my opponent has on his board that are face up. Any problematic cards, I can instantly attach 2 materials and get rid of them. Castell is such an important piece for rank 4, for level 4 monsters. Then I run 2 each of number 39 Utopia and Utopia the Lightning. Utopia the Lightning is just an incredible card. As soon as you attack, opponents can't activate any effects and make his attack 5,000. And he can get over such very big boss monsters in critical spots. I love this card, and I love running it too. Then I run 2 copies of Gaga Cowboy. Cowboy is just a beast in this deck. For late in game, I can burn 800 points. Basically, draw my opponent into submission. He just, as soon as this card's out, and he plays, as soon as I deal at least 6,400 points, Cowboy can just instantly end the game. I don't even have to wait till my opponent tries to make a comeback next turn. Next, I run 2 of Lightning Chidori. Get a double bonus as soon as he's summoned. I target a set card, bounce it to the bottom of deck, and then if there's a face-up, I can detach and bounce it on top of the deck. Chidori is a great guy, comes so handy late in games when I need to go for game. Then the one Harpy's Pet Phantasmal can attack directly, and this guy cannot be targeted by anything as long as he has Exceeds material. So it will take a Dark Hole or something that doesn't target to blow this guy up. And he can attack direct. He's just an ultimate beat stick, and really just can steal games late if you need to. Then I run Stardust Dragon. That was for Starlight Road. Instantly get to bring him out. One Abyss Dweller to shut down card effects that activate in the grave, or any cards that have sent to grave effects. I can instantly chain with Dweller and knock those little effects of BAs, Cosmo. Those cards can get instantly stopped by this. He just is awesome. And finally, 1 Brotherhood of the Firefist Tiger King to negate effects, and he's a Beast Warrior that I can go into if I need to, and I can instantly get my fire formations if I'm in a bad spot. So that was the extra deck, and now let's go for the last piece into the side deck. This is what I've been using so far. I run 1 Fairy Wind, blow up face-up spell and traps, works on pendulums, love it. Creature swap with Yosenju. This card is just an absolute... It's just like a broken-ass card to use in Yosenju. I can take my opponent's monsters, and then Yosenjus go back to my hand. So I basically take their monster for good, and I get my other card back. So this card just does so much. I love running this card. I only run it at 1. Dark Hole, just as a backup to Raigeki. I just think it works nicely in that spot. 2 cashbacks. I'm planning to get rid of one of these 2 and maybe replace it with a Ceasefire. I think that will do so much. It just does so much more damage, and Ceasefire can lower my opponent's life points for effect monsters. It does a little cheap damage at the end. I like that. Then I run 2 copies of Goes and Match. So if I'm in a situation where Rivalry doesn't work, I can go into Goes and Match. This is the one that shuts down attributes, so each one can only control an attribute. one type of attribute, and this card can work against problematics. Then I run 2 Magic Deflector to shut down any Twin Twister or field spells, anything that's not a normal or a ritual spell. This card comes so much in handy for a turn. Then I run 1 Lose a Turn for special summon, 1 Imperial Iron Wall, 1 Soul Drain, and 1 each of Light and Shadow Imprisoning Mirror for the Light and Dark matchup. A lot of the meta, particularly Blue Eyes, is going to be running Light and Dark monsters. Burning Abyss, Cosmo are still a thing. So this was, each of these cards came so much in handy from my last local, and so let you guys leave your comments below. Tell me what you guys think of the build. Open to anything, any suggestions you have. And until then, Execution 10, signing off.